Good morning. This week we're going to pour some resin. We have to make 50 copies of this guy today. And to that end, I made in earlier videos, I made these production molds. So we have a lot of cavities. I have a total, actually a total of 12 cavities. Whoop. I have a total of 12 cavities. Here's the original mold I made for this piece. And we're ready to go. But before we do that, we have got to match resin. And because the base color for this piece is this color right here. It's a nice bright red. And we got to make sure that the color matches this. In an earlier video, link up here, I matched some resin for a previous necklace project that we did. And I didn't like the way I did it. It seemed very cumbersome and it took too long. It did not go well. And I thought there's got to be a better way to take a color that I have to match and match the resin. If you'll recall, the difficulty is that the uncured resin, the raw resin, is a completely different color than the color that you're going for in the final casting. It's much, much darker in most cases. So it's really tricky to match, but I think I've come up with a really simple, easy way to do it. We're gonna implement that right now. Before we do anything else, we're gonna have to weigh this thing so we know exactly what we're dealing with here. So I've got the scale all tared up and balanced. Let's see what one of these castings weighs. I think that's more than 20 grams for each casting. It is exactly 28 grams. So one casting weighs 28 grams times 50 is going to tell us how much resin we're going to have to weigh out and mix today. Because we know this weighs 28 grams, I just bumped it up to 30 grams times 50 is 1,500 grams. So to save you the agony and fun of watching me weigh out 1,500 grams of material. Oh, and by the way, the jug weighs 130 grams, so I really need 1,630 grams. But then I don't want to be that precise. I'm going to mix enough resin so that I can have bad castings, I can have spills, I can have some accidents. Because the last thing you want to do is cast 48 pieces and have to mix more color. It drives you mental when that happens. Don't let that happen. So I think 1,800 grams should be enough. Hopefully it will be. So now we are going to mix some color. And the last time I did it, I just mixed directly in the big pot, which I think is a mistake because it's going to be much easier to match the color. Here's the thing. It's really hard for the resin color to match the resin color when all you have is the finished color, the cured color, because they're so different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix to the correct color in a small cup. I can get there faster, I can make adjustments faster, and when this resin in this cup is a perfect match, we'll do some test castings to this, then all I have to do is match the jug color to the sample color, and that's a lot easier. So that's what we're going to do. So let's dispense out some B-side. And by the way, you always put the dye, or almost always any additives or anything you mix into your resin, you put them in the B-side. Unless your manufacturer tells you something different, you go by the B-side. So I have a nice cup of res ready to go. And I can add more. I can even, if I over-mix it, if I go too dark in this little cup, I'll just pour it into here. Because this is going to take a lot of dye. So we're ready to go with the dyes. Resin dyes are one of my least favorite materials on the planet. Of all the materials that I work with, this is the material I hate the most. It's messy as hell. It gets all over everything. It's incredibly powerful. So a little bit of it, you get just a little bit of it on your hands or your gloves if you're wearing them or your clothes, and anything it touches for the rest of your, probably until the earth is consumed by the sun, gets stained by this resin. So I just, handle the jugs, handle everything as much as possible by having lots and lots of paper towel. I got paper towel, I got acetone, I got everything ready to go to try my best to keep this mess under control, because I guarantee you it's going to be a mess. And then when I think I'm just going to guess. The first shot at mixing this, the only guidance I have is Al, my friend Al, who designed this piece and mixed this original color, told me is it takes a lot of dye to get the resin to this color. So that's what I'm going to go on. I'm going to mix a really dark red. It's going to be some combination of red and yellow. I'm going to eyeball it and just use experience in eyeballing and see how good I do at this business. I don't want to stick the stick down in the resin, so my dispensing stick is going to be different than my mixing stick. So I'm going to start by following Al's suggestion and put quite a bit of dye in this little cup, and we'll see where we wind up. And again, I'm a big, big, big fan of lots and lots and lots of paper. So everything goes on paper. I keep everything, everything's got a condom on it. It's just you cannot keep it clean enough. So let's see, I'm gonna just put in the first snort of yellow. I don't know what the ratio to red to yellow is. Again, I got an eyeball. So I don't wanna go too orange by putting in too much yellow. So I'll just guess. I'm gonna bring the resin up to the edge of the cup. You see that, how I'm bringing the resin right up to the edge of the cup so I get all the resin off, all the dye off the edge of the cup, or as much of it as I can without spilling all over the place. And let's see what we got. Okay, it's feeling a tiny bit orange, maybe, we'll see. Maybe not, maybe not. See, I'm thinking that's probably good enough for the first guess. So to make the first guess, what we're going to do is just mix a little bit of A and a little bit of B and mix up a small amount, and then we'll see what happens. So let's do that next. Every time I shoot a scene, I download it directly to my editor, and I was downloading the last shots, and in the meantime, I decided I'll pour a little test batch just to see where I'm at, and then I'll do it on camera. But tragically and unfortunately, I got amazingly close on the first try, on the first guess. It's literally a guess. I'll see if you can see. I'm pretty close. This test is a little bit darker, and it's not as yellow as it needs to be, but it's shockingly pretty close. So we're going to forego the small cup business because it did its job. The small cup did its job. And what we're going to do now is mix up the jug to match this, except a little lighter. I'm going to make this, the jug mix, a little bit lighter and a little tiny bit more yellow. Let's go on to that project. We'll start just by pouring most of this cup, because I don't need this, into here. I still want to reserve out a decent amount in there, because what I'm going to do is pour a little resin back in here, just in case I need it, about just a little bit, about like that maybe. Let's see how that does. All right, so now, always wipe the cups, always wipe the jars, wipe, 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 keep things clean, make you mental otherwise. So now, how I'm going to match this to this is just by using the sticks. But first we're going to have to pour a decent amount of this dye. Don't want to get the stuff on my hands, let me tell you. Okay, I think I'm just going to pour in some dye. Away we go. I'm going to be careful not to go past it. I got to sneak up, because here I really don't want to go too dark. Ooh, I hate this stuff. Ooh, I don't like this stuff. The trick to this stuff is to keep everything hyper clean. Because the minute you get it on your hands, you are screwed. This is the nastiest stuff. And the minute you get it on the jugs, it's miserable to work with. It's just freaking, man. Don't touch the paper once you've done it. Okay, here we go. Now, I want to put a little more yellow in there as well. Where's some more condomage? So basically, the trick is I'm just going to keep adding dye until the amount that's in the jug, a little bit of yellow, don't want as much. I'm not going to make you sit through the whole process because this could take me an hour. But the basic process is stir the hell out of this. And then this is my matchstick. And I don't mean match as in lighter, I mean match as in match color. I'll pour that in there like that. And then, I don't know if you'll even be able to see this, but what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna match, whoa, I just spilled it all over the floor. Great, super. I'm gonna match it, looking at it. I can just tell by looking at the two sticks that this is too thin. It's gonna be way too light. You can just see the difference in the density. I got a real mess on my hands. I got resin all over my feet. So, all right, I'll deal with that in a minute. But anyway, still too light on this. We'll keep going. Let me clean this up. And, you know, lots of disasters in this world. Get used to disasters in a resin shop, boys and girls. Look at this mess. Christ almighty. Ugh. You got to see this. Wait a minute. You guys got to see this. What a nightmare. Look what I did. What a mess I made down here. Holy crap. Oh, well. Crap on a cracker. All right. I got to get this cleaned up, and I will do that now. And this is not the first time I've spilled resin in my shop, and it certainly isn't going to be the last time. So, yeah. Let's get busy and get to cleaning, and we'll go on. Having said that I was going to clean this up, I thought to myself, well, what better way to demonstrate how you clean something up? I mean, how do you clean up a mess like this? What a mess. Holy crap. All right, so I'll show you how I do it. Anyway, move stuff out of the way. Just get stuff moved out of the way. And since I'm stepping on the resin down below on the floor, we don't want that. So we're going to do what we did last time. Remember a couple of videos, I had another spill. Seems to be the theme now, is spills. See if I can get some light down on the floor for you. Okay, there's some light down there anyway. All right, so how I do it is I use my handy dandy bucket of sawdust trick. I'm very into sawdust for resin cleanup. If you don't have sawdust, you should get yourself a bag of commercial spill material. You can get it at janitorial supply houses, places like that. And I just get that all nicely coated up. Same with the bench top. Just completely cover the spill in sawdust. Put it on there. Surprisingly effective at cleaning. At least it sops up the mess. All right, now, so we're just going to let that sop up the mess. And the next step is going to be to wipe it. Rub the sawdust in and get it to absorb all the liquid of the resin. It's still going to be gunky. It's not going to be, this resin isn't mixed. It's just the B side. So it's not ever going to be, it's not ever going to cure. It's not ever going to harden in its lifetime because it's just one side of the resin. All right. But that does a pretty neat job of containing it. Okay, and same thing on the floor, down below. Just go down and pick it up. Is the floor going to be stained? Oh yes, the floor will be stained, no doubt. The floor will be stained, but the spill is pretty well contained. Now we just get a dustpan. And this is why I keep big heavy-duty dustpans handy in the shop. So I can just use a big old dustpan. All right. So we got pretty much all of it in one dustpan. And the bulk of the mess is pretty well cleaned up. Sweep it up. Off we go. Dun, da, 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 to the beautiful maintenance cart. Here's my maintenance cart so you can see it. In a dark corner of the shop. And in it goes. Bye-bye, resin spill. It was nice knowing you. See you later. All right, we're back in business. Let's get going. Let's match some color. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Shake this up again good. Make sure it's well shaken. Well shaken. The best way to match this color is going to be to put little dollops of color onto a stick and just put little drops like that. The color is close in terms of hue and all that other good stuff, but let's see what we've got here. Just putting some drops down. So I'm just going to look at the density, let them drip, and just look at the density of the color. And can you see that up there? See how I'm doing that? I'm just comparing the two, and as you can see, they are pretty darn close. Amazingly close. So I think it's time to do a pour test. Let's go do that. I got so close so fast that I shocked myself. Okay, let's see how I did. Before I speak too soon, I put 3 grams of bay resin in here and 3 grams of this for a 6-gram batch, and we're going to go ahead and pour it up and see what we get. Let's take a look at what we're going to get. Meanwhile, while I do that, let's pour it. I'll just go ahead and pour it. And it's just a waste mold. It's an old mold laying around. It just happens to produce a nice little disc of resin. So let's pour it like that. Okay, done. And just for fun, we'll pop it into the tank. I pulled the color test out of the tank. Let's look at it. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if maybe some white background will help us compare. All right, so this is color test number 1. And this one next to it is, you can see, this is the jug color. And you can see it's quite a bit lighter. So we're going to need to add a decent snort of resin to that. So let's do it. Let's add, I'm constantly wiping these jars, boy, let me tell you. See why? Look at that. Look why I wipe these jars. It's unbelievable. Wipe your jars every 10 seconds of your life. You become very obstreperous about cleanliness when you're dealing with dyes, because you don't, and resins for that matter, you don't want this stuff on your hands. You really don't. Okay, here's what I did to make my life easier. I took the 2 dye, well, first of all, I seriously put condoms on the jars of the resin, and it's the red, and I took this red dye, and I poured it into this small cup, quite a bit of it. So this is a dense mix, and also I put the yellow in this same cup. So this is a pretty dense mix of pigment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add it to this. Do I want to add it all, or do I want to be conservative? Let's add half, since it's a pretty rich mix, and I don't want to go past it in the big jug. Okay. One of the things I did to make it mix easier was, after I poured the pigment into this cup, I mixed some of the resin with it. Quite a bit, actually. So it was nice and liquidy and pourable and already kind of pre-mixed. So when it went into the jug, it just, no worries at all. I kind of almost feel like I want to live dangerously and just go right ahead and do a test, a color test. Because it might still be a little light, but it's going to be close. So what the heck? Let's live dangerously, shall we? Let's go ahead and put some rubber bands on. And as you know, I like lots of little light rubber bands. I'm just looking at the parting line on the outside of the mold, making sure it's closing up really beautifully, nice and invisible. I really don't like to sand. Pretty much you guys have figured out by now, if you watch this channel, that I really don't like to sand and finish, post-finish 100, 200 or more castings. It's just like not my idea of spending fun time. All right, we're ready to pour it. We know it's a 30 batch, so we're going to use 15 of this, 15 of the B. I'll go mix it up and come back and we'll pour. Let's do that right this second. I mixed up a 30 batch, 15 grams of A, 15 grams of the colored B. Stir it up. I think that we're going to be close enough that even probably if I get a good casting, color-wise, I'll be able to use it. So let us hope for the best. Let's pour this boy. It's been a while since I poured one, so I don't remember if I have to rock it. So I'm going to rock it just for fun. Make sure that it gets into the little pointy bits. I hate when I get resin on my hands. Rats. I can feel it's already getting warm though. Taught me something. Taught me don't get resin on your hand, but also taught me, oh, that's why it was so full. All right. And there you can see, if you can see, the resin has risen up through the tube. Beautiful. All right, what do you guys think? Anybody going to wager? Is this going to be right on, or are we still going to be a hair light, or did I put too much in? Let's find out. Let's pressurize it. Quick check of the witness cup. Perfect. Ready to go? Let's grab that boy. Let's see how we did. Did you place your bets? Did I screw it up? Have I failed? Am I going to spend the next 2 days trying to match this color, or am I going to be close? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see where we're at. Oh, man. Let's see here. Let me see what I feel about that. Boy, that's pretty close. The sample is a little darker still. I could add a snort more red. Certainly could. I don't need a lot more red, but a little tiny bit more red. I think, you know what? I'm going to call that a winner. And because I think that they're close enough. This is not the space shuttle, you know. This is a decorative thing. Okay, cool. So now let's go on and cast up 50 of these. I'm going to pour 5 of these boys, so let's mix up a batch of 150 grams. Got your A side. Set the scale to 60. So that's 75, 75 is 150. Set the scale to 60. Dump it hard to 60. Set it to 70. Dump. Okay, so now I just need to sneak up to 75. I know I'm close, so I sneak up. That method, the sneak up method, most effective. Perfect. Right on the button for 75. Set the scale for, let's call it, let's just call it 130. Yeah, 135. So we'll dump to 135. Hard. Beautiful. 146, 7. Dump it. But good. And then the last 3. See how quickly you can measure by kind of measuring 80 or 90% of it and then just dumping it. So you don't have to kind of worry that you're going to go over it. And right on. Let me set the scale down so I don't have to change the setup. I can just change the set a little bit. There you go. Let's stir this batch. We got to get it in here. We got to go. We're going to do 5 at a time. I have this mold which has 5 in it, and the other mold has 6, so I have 11 cavities plus that one extra one laying around. But I think 11 is going to be way, way, way fast enough. I can already feel this resin going off. It's getting warm. So let's go. Let's not waste time. I'm going to pour the cavity so we can really get them going. Go back through them. Quick, quick, quick. Pouring them all at once. And I'm just going to take a minute here just to shake them a little, just in case we need it. Get them into these places. All right, here we go. Let's go, go, go. It's getting warm. We do not have a lot of time. Whenever you're batch pouring, you got to go because you're going to have to fill a lot of cavities in a short period of time. Okay, we're getting there now. And looks like we got it. See if the resin has risen all the way up. Hasn't risen in this one yet, in the middle one. What's going on there? Hasn't risen in this one either. What's going on there? There it comes. Come along, come along, come along. Come on up. I'm just helping it, just jiggling it. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Oh, yeah. All right. Looking good. Let's pop it into the tank. All right. Let's take a look. What do we got? Let's let the air out of the tank. Come on, tank. Do your thing. All right. Here we go. Beautiful. Let's see how we're looking here. Oh, yeah. They're looking good. Let's grab these kids. You can ride on mold cam over to the bandsaw. All right, let's pull this mold out. And the reason that I'm pulling it at the bandsaw is, as soon as these castings come out of this mold, I am going to want to cut them. And the reason for that is that the resin is really soft right now. Here we go. All right, this is the fun part. All right, how do we do? How do we do? How do we do? How do we do? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, nice. Love it. Let's hope they all came out good. See how soft and pliable the resin is? It's beautiful. This is when you want to cut the sprues and do all that good stuff because, and the vents aren't much on this piece, but this is when you want to cut them because they're so soft, they cut like butter. There we go. I know that a lot of you guys don't have bandsaws, and you go, well, I have a bandsaw, but this and that. But if you cut these sprues right when they come out of the mold, they're so soft. They cut like, it's so easy to cut them. You can just cut them with a razor blade or an x-acto knife. You don't really need a bandsaw. Now, in 24 hours, this resin's going to be rock hard. It's going to be much, much harder to cut and trim. So not only do I do the cutting now, like this, I also, this is the time when I go through and see how I left the sprue, see how this sprue's on there? Can you see that? This is when you want to carve all this stuff away because it's so easy now, it's so fast. So it's a little harder to do and I'm a little slower on camera than I am when I'm doing it without you guys watching me. But bottom line is, now is the time to cut resin. That's just the point I'm trying to make here. As soon as the pieces come out of the molds, if you can trim them and chase them, boy, you'll save yourself a lot of time in the long haul. So that is what I do. I do all the trimming now. You can see the simplest tool in the world. I'm just using a straight razor blade. I'm not even using my x-acto knife for the simple reason that I didn't know where it was. It's lying around here somewhere. But I had a blade in my hand, so there you go. Use what you got. So just go through and do all this. No magic in it. You just clean them up, kind of carve them, whittle them down, and then you basically scrape to the finished contour. And if you get into a groove and you get your music flowing, you can whack this stuff out really fast and you can scrape it down and get a nice finished thing pretty quick. So that's that. So that's we got 6 done now. I did 5 in this mold. I had 1 before. I got 6 done. 44 to go and we'll be ready to go. And here they all are. And as you can see, came out really good, really clean. Had no problems with any of the castings. And very pleased with how they came out. The color is very consistent all throughout the batch, and that's why you mix a whole jug of resin at one time, because you don't want to run out in the middle. You don't want variable color. When you send them to the customer, you want them to be as clean as possible. And they came out good. Did want to mention this. This is the sprue pile. These are the sprues that I cut off. The design of this casting meant that I had to send a sprue down, as you saw, down the side. But the downside with that is that A, it makes it harder to pour, and B, you get a long parting line, and C, look how much waste plastic there is. One good argument for making your sprues and vents as short as possible is they cast better and they waste less resin. Hey, if you like the video, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.